Executive Director and CEO of Indocount Industries Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you to Indocount Industries Q1 FY22 earnings call. I hope you and your family are keeping safe and healthy. I have with me Mr. Muralidharan, our CFO, and SGA, our Investor Relation Advisor. Happy to connect with you all once again to discuss the Q1 FY22 performance. During this unprecedented times, the Indocount has remained committed to the well-being of all its stakeholders, employees, and frontline workers. We believe vaccination is the only way to defeat the virus and revive economic activity. We have successfully covered almost all our employees through at least the first round of vaccination drive. We hope the situation will be under control with a rapid vaccination drive across the country. Now let me highlight the opportunity unveiling in our industry, textile sector. We believe the long-term growth prospects of the Indian textile industries are intact. The key export markets focusing on shifting to India for a long-term supply, along with the government support policies, provide scope for textile companies to post robust growth in the long run. Global companies have stepped up efforts to implement the China Plus One strategy of diversifying their supply chains in the wake of COVID-19 induced disruption and the US-China trade tensions. Also, the trade conflict between China and the developed countries has further intensified due to banning of cotton coming out of Xinjiang area. The province contributes more than 80% of overall Chinese cotton production and 20% of global cotton production. This is a big impact to China exporting cotton manufactured goods. India also enjoys a comparative advantage in terms of skilled manpower and production costs related to major textile producers in Southeast Asia. The recent government notification of extension of RoSCTL benefits up to March 2024 is a big boost to the textile exporters, which will further help increase the competitiveness of Indian products and provide stability and predictability to the industry players. The other textile products which are not covered under the RoSCTL are eligible to avail RoDTEP benefits, which will further boost the industry. Coupled with this, various factors like review of the GSP status of Pakistan by the EU add a silver lining to India's trade performance. India has begun FTA talks with EU and other countries. We believe the deal will be beneficial to our country. India's main focus in the talks with this country is to secure more market access for its exports. We remain confident that we are well prepared to seize every opportunity on the back of our healthy balance sheet, financial prudence, and focused approach. While the end markets have been supporting, leading to a strong rebound in Q1 FY22, it is very important to note that this growth has been a result of a conscious strategy laid out in the last few years. Having entered the largest subsegment of fashion, utility, institutional bedding, we have continued to make all-round efforts in terms of innovation, service, delivery, and capacity to grow our brand equity in these segments. Our performance continues to remain on track for fashion, utility, institutional side of the business. We are making a lot of efforts on digital marketing, e-commerce, developing health and hygiene products, and other innovative ways to reach out to our customers, thereby strengthening our relationship with them. We continue to remain laser focused on increasing our share in the e-commerce and branded business, both locally and globally. Our focus on offering an integrated bedding solution with innovation and keeping customer preferences of the future in mind has resonated well with all our customers. Along with this, our value-added products on health and hygiene contributed to the rising trend. Now coming to the business performance. On the B2C and D2C side, recently Indocount partnered with a UK brand Jasper Conran for an exclusive bed and bath collection to be launched in spring 2022. The range will be marketed internationally under the Jasper Conran London brand exclusively through Indocount. The partnership will support Indocount's long-term vision to be the cornerstone for home textile across the globe. At Indocount, we are strongly moving towards the B2C and D2C segment through high-quality product offerings across varied price points, building visibility through digital campaigns, and leveraging omni-channel and e-commerce distribution. We are focusing on brand promotion in the US, UK, Middle East, and India through 10 active brands. We believe with innovation and technological capabilities, along with licensed brands, patents, and trademarks, this will further strengthen our brand offerings to our customers. I am happy to announce that during the quarter, Indocount has been awarded with 2 golds at Textocil Export Awards 2019-20 for the second consecutive year for the highest export performance in cotton made-ups, bed linen, bed sheets, and quilts. We also bagged the Special Achievement Award in cotton made-ups for the entire nation. Our brand Boutique Living, felicitated by the Economic Times as ET Iconic Brand of 2021. Also, another brand, Layers, is recognized as the Femina Power Brand of the Year 2021. We are honored by the Navbharat Group with Healthcare CSR of the Year award. The recognition was conferred to us by the Governor of Maharashtra for our work towards corporate social responsibility. On the sustainability side, we continue to remain an ESG-focused organization with well-defined principles, roadmap, and targets. During the quarter, we have been recognized by Walmart Corporation as a top performer at Walmart's Global Sourcing Sustainability Summit. We are now an official member of the US Cotton Trust Protocol. They are an approved supply chain partner for brands and retailers who are sourcing more sustainability grown cotton. Let me now share with you our operational and financial performance. I am happy to announce that we have achieved a quarterly sales volume of 18.13 million meters for Q1 FY22. Volumes during the quarter were impacted by COVID-induced lockdown, resulting in shutdown of our manufacturing activities from 15th May 21 to 23rd May 21. Our order book continues to remain healthy, and we remain optimistic and expect volumes for FY22 to be in the range of 85 to 90 million meters. Total income rupees 759 crores in Q1 FY22 versus 336 crores in Q1 FY21, a growth of 126% on a YOY basis. Normalized total income is rupees 709 crores in Q1 FY22 versus rupees 336 crores in Q1 FY21, a growth of 111% on a YOY basis. Normalized total income excludes ROSCTL benefits of rupees 49.99 crores for the period of January 1, 2021 to March 31, 2021. EBITDA. Reported EBITDA of rupees 178 crores in Q1 FY22 versus rupees 39 crores in Q1 FY21, a growth of 357% YOY. EBITDA margin stood at 23.4% in Q1 FY22 versus 11.6% in Q1 FY21, an increase of 1184 bps YOY. Normalized EBITDA 128 crores in Q1 FY22 versus 39 crores in Q1 FY21, a growth of 229% on a YOY basis. Normalized EBITDA margin stood at 18% in Q1 FY22 versus 11.6% in Q1 FY21, an increase of 644 bps on a YOY basis. This margin of 18% has absorbed the impact of higher raw material prices as well as freight costs. Normalized EBITDA excludes ROFCTL benefits of 49.99 crores for the period January 1, 2021 to March 31, 2021. We expect FY22 margin to be in the range of 18 to 20%. PAT rupees 117 crores in Q1 FY22 versus rupees 18 crores in Q1 FY21. PAT margin is at 15.4% in Q1 FY22 versus 5.3% for Q1 FY21. That includes ROFCTL benefits of rupees 49.99 crores for the period of January 1, 2021 to March 31, 2021. Debt. Our net debt stood at 291 crores compared to rupees 263 crores at the end of March 31st, 2021, implying a net debt to equity of 0.21x. That's all from my side. I now leave the floor open for Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Jiten Doshi from Enam Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lalpuria, and many congratulations on a wonderful performance in Q1 FY22. This has been a very big relief compared to what the environment and the challenges that we are seeing now. And despite COVID, you have been able to do about 18 million meters despite the second wave. That's a very commendable achievement. So, big congratulations to your entire team.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Lalpuria, we would like from your side, just to get an update because, recently the Commerce Minister has announced a very big policy for the textiles plus the, entire benefits that have come to the industry. How do you look into that basically in the medium and long term? And what are you really seeing for the textile industry in general and Indocount in particular? What do you think is the pathway ahead for your business as you go forward?
No, it's a very important question to all of us being related to the textile sector, Mr. Doshi. First of all, I will answer this question in two sets. First of all, let us assess the demand creation because that is very important from a business point of view. So the demand has been created because of the China Plus One strategy which we have been talking about. And we are clearly seeing the visibility in the numbers in OTEXA data where India has moved from a market share of 50% to 61%. And because of China's cost going up, because of the issues relating to Xinjiang cotton on the supply chain side, and because of countries, major markets like US, Europe, to some extent, and UK, are blocking China's cotton coming from that particular area, which constitutes almost 80% of Chinese cotton and 20% of the global cotton, is phenomenal, and this will further provide opportunities for India to grow their market share in the textile sector overall, both textile and apparel. And you see, this China Plus One strategy, as I had mentioned earlier also, will play in the next 3 to 5 years. But I think with Xinjiang cotton impact, this will prove its impact much closer to this 3 to 5 years. It will be also medium term. The secondly is about the home becoming the center stage, and home textile in particular market share has improved because this work from home culture is a new norm, and that has triggered the home textile consumption to a new level, which we are having clear visibility as what we reported our revenues in FY21. The third is the FTAs, which are being discussed with EU and 9 other countries. Particularly EU is a large trade bloc where India is missing its market share. So there will be a huge demand creation if India signs India-centric trade pacts with EU, UK, Canada, Australia, and all these major developed countries where home textile consumption is to a high level and where India is missing the market share. India, over all these years, has created integrated manufacturing facilities of world class, and it has got capacities and capabilities to cater to global brands and retailers. And it has proved post-quota that it can really be a formidable player to supply all the major brands and retailers. And this has created a very good, strong perceived value for Indian textile overseas. India as a country is well positioned with its raw material supply, with traditional labor workforce, with its expertise, experience. So I think this demand creation will be absorbed by the India as a country, and we as a company since in India are also witnessing Indian economy also moving up. So there is a dual impact that India is also moving up to a 5 trillion economy from 2.5 trillion. So I think both from locally and globally, we are seeing demand creation, and India is well positioned to absorb this demand creation with its all capacity and capabilities. So I think going forward, this will help Indian textile sector to prove itself because they have invested into design studios, into research, into various e-commerce and digital businesses, and are also catering to large investment into the textile sector with the latest technology. So I think the overall performance and the perceived value of Indian textile sector has improved considerably, which are visible through its market share in the bed linen segment, which has grown to 61%, and in other home textile products to almost like 45 to 50%. This proves that we have a competitive advantage to fulfill the needs of the brands and retailers. So in China Plus One strategy, as China was dominating in textile, we see a new era opening for textile sector to grab this opportunity going forward. The government also supporting and putting on this ROSCTL clarity will help the textile sector to plan its investment, because you can predict going forward for almost 3 to 4 years. So the investments, the development, the marketing, investment into marketing, distribution, front end, all will come up, and India will certainly do well in this particular sector. That's what my submission is. Over and above this, you see, textile is a priority sector and has been recognized for PLI, Integrated Textile Park. So the government is also under Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India are making full attempt to provide justice to the textile sector, because they are also seeing that there is a big opportunity for growing this market share in the world global textile trade. So I think all these opportunities, demand, etc., will work in favor of the textile sector overall out of India.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Kapil from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Congratulations on a very good set of numbers. I have a few questions. Firstly, in this quarter, 18 million meters of volume was being achieved. So to achieve your effort made of 85 to 90 million meters, we will have to deliver around, say, 23 million meters of volume for each of the next 3 quarters, which would be at par or higher than 100 of last 4 quarters. So do you think it is achievable?
Yes, that's what the guidance which we have provided, that we will be achieving this 85 to 90 million meters based on our order book position in normal circumstances.
Okay. And any disruption seen in the month of July because of COVID? Like in Q1 there was some disruption. So anything in the month of July?
Come again,
Like our manufacturing facilities were shut for around 8-9 days because on account of COVID in Q1. So anything in July, any disruptions witnessed in July?
See, there are challenges as far as both COVID and a little bit of flooding is concerned, but I think our team has put up a good effort to see that they continue serving our customers, and we will overcome it in all normal circumstances, and there is nothing in July as such so far.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Secondly, how much of the cotton price increase has been passed on to customers and how much more it will be passed on in the coming quarters? Because this cotton price has been on a rise since quite some time now.
See, we have held our position till October as far as cotton is concerned, and we will wait for the new season to start. We have good monsoon, there is a good sowing, so let us wait and observe, and this should be viewed overall on an annual basis. We cannot view cotton prices going up and down during the quarter, So we have been able to manage this situation earlier also, and as I mentioned, whenever there is a mismatch in demand and supply, the prices tends to move up. But overall, cotton demand has gone up. There are challenges, of course, on the price front. We have been able to pass on to most of our customers. We are engaged with them, and it is an evolving situation, and we have good relationship with our customers. They do understand that this is the commodity prices across the globe has gone up. So it's we are also in the same fray, and this we will address as when it needs to be addressed.
Right, sir. So probably, I'll come back, on the next quarter, for this update on cotton price. So that's last question from my side. Can you put some color on your partnership with Jasper Conran brand? Like what would be the terms of this deal and how much it would aid a company's margins?
See, first of all, Jasper Conran is a very recognized brand in the UK home textile area because they have been associated with a large multi-brand outlet, Debenhams, which we all know. And they were doing pretty well in the home area, and not only in home textile, but he is also in apparel, footwear, in bags, etc. So he's a very well recognized mid to high position brand in UK. We have made a 5-year arrangement with them, and there are royalty percentages which we need to pay to them on the businesses which we gain. So those are some of the terms which we have committed to them, and the royalties range between 5 to 6% globally. So according to the market in which we sell, the royalty will be calculated at the end of the day, and that we need to pay.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you for answering all my questions. All the best for the entire day.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Choda from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. I had a question. I had a question on the average realization. So usually our average realizations were around 315 to rupees 320. So this quarter it is around 360. So is it because of some price hike, or we have been able to entirely pass on the input cost inflation? And what could be the realization that we could look in FY22?
It is both. Like we are able to pass on some of the cost as well as you see the product mix, because there are certain products which are upscale, as what we had mentioned about the health, hygiene and wellness product. Then we have started selling on the branding side, 10 active brands we have. So branding, distribution, e-commerce sale, and the higher value proposition which we are offering to the customer has been well accepted. So I think both on the product mix side as well as the customer acceptance of the price increase have impacted this realization. And also I have always mentioned that we should not look at from on a quarter to quarter basis as far as realization is concerned, because it's a seasonal business, we all know, and it moves ups and downs, So, and that's not the right way to calculate.
Correct, sir. Sir, one more thing, like on the gross margin front, we have been doing healthy gross margin in excess of 50%, and that is after adjusting for ROFCTL. So what has been the reason for this healthy gross margins, and will we be able to sustain these margins going ahead, and probably what could be the gross margins we can work with in FY22?
See, it should be on similar lines like FY21. As I mentioned, you should see on a yearly basis. Since we had hedged some cotton position and yarn position, we have been able to gain this over and above. We had a better realization, as I mentioned. So I think all these factors help into improving our sales realization, and that is the impact. But you should always consider on an annual basis the gross margin.
Sure, sir. So just one more thing, like our other income has been significantly higher. So is there a forex impact over there, and the other income increase quantum is significantly higher? If you could quantify some details in that.
See, the other income normally is because of the exchange gain, but that is a part of our revenue, because when we get an order, we hedge our position, and that is part of our pricing policy. So that we had also mentioned, but just because of accounting standard, we have to show it separately. So we have been maintaining the same dialogue, that we have to consider it as part of our revenue.
So what is the quantum, sir, in this quarter, the forex gain?
Around 30 crores.
Around 30 crores. Okay, sir, that's it from my side. Thanks for answering my questions.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Sir, with the benefit status to Pakistan, getting wind off by the Europe, what happens to the competitiveness between us and Pakistan, and how big is the Europe market vis-a-vis the US market?
See, the matter is under review, because of some issues regarding blasphemy law which EU has raised against Pakistan. So this is still under consideration. But if it does happen, this will be a big boost to Indian textile industry, because it will open up, because we are not at a level playing field, as we are paying 9.6% duty more than Pakistan. So the competitiveness is not there. So once we have competitiveness, and I think if we have done well in the US market, we can do well in the EU market as well. So this is a big opportunity for all of us if it does happen. And secondly, even if it does not happen, India is in the process of discussing FTA with EU. So sooner or later there will be some changes in this mechanism. Either the duties will be similar for Pakistan and India, or India will also get the duty advantage. So either of these two will be a benefit to us. Now, As far as the market size is concerned, EU is a fragmented market, we all know, because it is 28, 29 countries with different taste, sizes and designs, prints, etc. And it is much more larger than the US market. What we have been saying all time that US is around $28 billion at retail. The EU market is around $31 billion at retail. So it is a large market where India do not have much larger share. So going forward, if this happens, there will be very big opportunity for Indian players.
Okay. So just a continuing here. So if you could just translate that into meters, million meter market for in EU.
So I cannot translate that million meters, but you see, if India has done so well in the US with so much of export built up in the last decade, certainly when this market opens up, India is geared up because India has capacity, capability, expertise, knowledge, everything to supply, to become a good supplier. And we are also today existing there, like we are supplying to major retailers who are in our price point. So I think this will scale up the meters, exports. And it is anybody's guess that it will be quite substantial. It will not be a small game.
Okay. And just one clarification on this margin number. So in your presentation for quarter one, we are reporting normalized at 18%. This would include the 30 crore FX which we are talking about in the quarter one.
Yes, please. Because it is part of our revenue, as I mentioned.
Okay. And in FY21, 16% margin reported. What would be the FX there in your EBITDA of 415 crore?
That was not substantial as what I remember. I can provide you offline, but it was not substantial as what it is. Because the prices, the forex prices were really stagnant at that time.
So what you do, you tend to book a fairly longer term forward. That's the reason why the gain or the loss tends to come in the quarter.
So because you see, as I mentioned, the forex is a transactional thing for us because see, whenever we get a business, we hedge our position and we hedge 70% of our position because of our good order book position. So we do not seem to see this as a gain. We see it as a competitive advantage whenever the forex rates move higher. So that's it. And plus it's the accounting entry, what we have to show it separately as another income, which I had mentioned earlier.
So just a clarification here. So you would tend to book your full. So let's say if you have an order which is deliverable over the next 4 quarters, you would tend to book the entire 70% of the deliverable in forwards. That's how you would do it on the day of receiving the order.
See, normally I'm Muralidharan here. Normally what we do is that we know what is our order book position. So we take not at one go. We don't book anything based on order at one go. We keep doing it month over month on a rolling basis. Okay. The policy of the board is that we hedge about 70% of our forecast basically. So we do that on a rolling basis. So sometimes whenever the rupee is not so volatile, we don't get any gains basically. When there is a volatility, then the day we account for the sales, and when we position it as of the closing period, the differences will arise basically. This is more of an accounting entry. But as Mr. Lalpuria said, this is part of our income any time.
So your margin of 18 to 20% would be including assumption forecast, would be including effects and including ROSTL, right?
Right.
Yes.
You're right. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Akshay Chheda from Canara Robeco. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So I have 2 questions from my side. The first on this Xinjiang cotton ban. So what I understand is primarily to do with the labor issues. Now, what will happen now if China is able to correct this? So, wouldn't this be a threat again to the other countries? Like, if it is able to solve this issue quickly? So that was my first question. And secondly, on this container availability, like since we are into exports and there were a lot of challenges on the availability of containers. So now what is the situation? Yeah, so these were the two questions. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Cheda, but there's a slight
As far as
disturbance coming
Xinjiang
from your
cotton
line,
is
sir. Mr. Cheda, request you to mute your line while the management answers your question.
Okay, sure.
See, on the Xinjiang side, there were no issues earlier. This has come to surface as of now. So earlier also China was competing with us, and we had exported. In spite of them, we have gained a market share of 50%. So even if this goes away at some instance, we continue to be competitive because cotton is expensive in China. Secondly, such issues, the human rights issues, what we have seen and observed, just like Uzbekistan, they continue for a long period because they cannot be overturned within a year or 2 years and cannot be, satisfied to the country to full satisfaction that they have stopped it. So I think it's a major issue which has been recognized worldwide by all brands and retailers, and they are blocking the cotton manufactured goods coming out of this area. And it is not only for textile, it is for other products as well. So it's a large issue, and it will not go away very quickly that's what we anticipate. But even if it goes away, China was a supplier earlier to it, was dominating, and India grabbed the market share in spite of China existing there. So I think so. We will continue to be competitive and we will continue to play a major role. Now to your second question on the container availability. Yes, of course, there are challenges as what we hear every day that the container availability is a big issue. We are addressing it and we are able to address it. We are investing into our supply chain and we are providing the necessary service to our customers, and we are seeing it that this gets tied over in the next 2-3 quarters and return back to normalcy. So I think the issues are there, of course, and there has been challenges, and that's the reason we had to pay higher cost to some extent, but that has been absorbed by our better margin. So I think these issues we are addressing it as and how it evolves.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
Your question is answered?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kaushal Shah from Dhanki Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations to the team. Sir, I have 2 questions. One was, some clarity on the cotton. Already CC has raised cotton prices. We hear that the inventory is also a little low, and I think even the acreage has not increased.
Shah, there is a slight disturbance coming from your line, sir.
Okay. So, Lalpuria sir, the question really was on the cotton, that there has been a rise in price. There is also a drop in inventory. And apparently, I think even U.S. production of cotton has been impacted. So, do we expect, the margins, the guidance that you've given 18 to 20%, that to be comfortably sustained in case, there is a price rise in cotton in the coming season?
See, as I mentioned earlier, there are challenges as far as cotton is concerned because the cotton consumption is moving up. Secondly, the Xinjiang area cotton has been blocked. So there is a cotton which has gone out of the system in the supply chain. So definitely there will be issues as far as cotton availability is concerned and cotton prices are concerned, which we are addressing. But fortunately for our company, we have been hedged till October, and we as a company have consciously invested into the supply chain by seeing all these uncertainties around us. And that's why you have seen a little part of we getting invested into our inventories, to some extent. So Having said that, there will be challenges on the cotton side, and particularly in the US, the crop is less, but that is Supima cotton which we import. And this is a high-grade cotton which goes into the best and the premium and the branded segment. So where we are able to realize the price from the customer because it is sold at a higher value. So those things will nullify, but yes, the Indian cotton challenge is still there, but we all need to watch it once the new season starts post-October. And we are observing the situation, and we are going to see that how we tackle this. But since we had tackled it earlier, such commodity prices, we are confident as a company to tackle this going forward. And because the buyers and the brands and the retailers also know that this is a commodity issue worldwide, it's a global issue, and they do understand. So they are working together with us on a joint business plan, how to address the raw material prices, and we are quite hopeful we should be able to address that.
Right. And so just one clarification. You mentioned earlier, I think in one of the answers, that this margin guidance of 18 to 20, that includes the ROSCTL benefit also, is it?
Yes. See, so that stands, so 18 to 20%. We are hopeful under normal circumstances to get those margins because our margin has expanded.
Right. Thanks. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sneha Ghoshal from Insync Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to know the current domestic versus export ratio that we have, and what is that you're looking at it going forward?
We had earlier mentioned in our call that it is at 1% of our sales currently, and we expect it to move it to 3% in next couple of years on the increased sales.
Okay. And so what does the order pipeline look for us currently?
It is good. Like, we have a good order book position, and that's why we have given guidance of 85 to 90 million meters.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Sajal Gupta from FE Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Lalpuri, and for excellent, congratulations for excellent results. My question to you is, first, I wanted to know how quickly can the company reach a $1 billion in sales? By when can you see company reaching this number?
See, your words like really, I had spoken last time that आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर. So certainly we had committed ourselves as a company to double our revenues going forward in the next 3 to 4 years, and we are quite hopeful with our kind of positioning, with our adequate capital, debt-free, then having a good marquee customer base, a complete product portfolio, well positioned in the US, in UK, in EU, and all other developed nations, having a good perceived value for our brands and product range. I think we are thinking about moving further, growing much faster and achieving this $1 billion mark in the future. It's everybody's ambition in the company as far as our team is concerned. So we are definitely working upon this. And as a company, we are there in textile business for the last 31 years. In home textiles, we are there for 13 years. So fundamentally, we have put across a good base, and this we will leverage going forward. And certainly, that's our target.
Okay, so it would be safe to assume that within the next 4 to 5 years, we should be reaching this number, if nothing less.
Of course.
Okay. So, my second question to you, sir, is that you have recorded 18 million meters in the first quarter, and you've guided for 19 million. And that means you should be doing 72 million for the rest of the year, which would mean 24 million with the calculation per quarter. Because of the seasonality of this business, do we see that at any one quarter can show a 30 million meters in any one particular quarter happening because of the seasonality? And second thing, what I wanted to know, is it safe to assume that what kind of a growth in volumes can we see? Can we happen to see a 15 to 20% growth in volumes in coming next 3 years' time?
Certainly, you see, the expansions which we are investing into our capacity from 90 to 108 million demonstrate that we are also seeing growth happening in the large markets to which we cater to, number one. So we are, as a company, investing into building capacities. Secondly, you see, we do see that, we should not assess our volumes every quarter, being seasonal in business and, depending upon the economies of the developed nations as well. And there are many challenges happening across, on the supply chain side because during COVID and post-pandemic also. So I think whatever which we have provided like guidelines of 85 to 90 million meters, we should look upon on an annual basis rather than a quarterly basis. Yes, but of course we report that to you, that what we have done during this quarter. But there are always ups and downs during this quarter. Now, to answer your last question about, that 15 to 20% incremental in volume, of course, there has to be incremental businesses because we are catering, we are trying to venture into all directions, as I mentioned, like various distribution areas like B2C, D2C, e-commerce, digital marketing, domestic marketing, tying up with brands, going into the premium branded range. So all these things will fall into our kitty going forward because we are quite equipped to do so in spreading our product line to different customers, both horizontally and vertically. So I think there are big opportunities as what I had mentioned from the large markets, and certainly we as a company are well positioned to cater to this demand, and we will do it. We are delivering around 85 to 90 million meters. We are a good recognized player, and people have a strong belief on our product line. So I think certainly there is a scope for achieving those targets.
Okay, and last question from my side would be how things faring at the home front?
So certainly good. Like on the home front, we have two strong brands. One is a value-driven brand and one is an aspiring brand. And we will be launching a luxury brand as well in order to, further facilitate the Indian consumer who are growing in large numbers. And we are expanding our product portfolio in the domestic area also by providing good solution to the Indian consumers as well through all distribution channels, like whether it is e-commerce or whether it is retail or MBOs or LFS or through distribution mode. So we see a big traction here in the coming near future because the demand is picking up in India as well as Indian economy is growing from 2.5 trillion to 5 trillion. Textile will play an important role. And this work from home culture, which we have been saying, has triggered higher consumption of home textiles as well. So I think there is a big opportunity both in India as well as overseas market for Indian textiles to prove themselves, and which we are doing. We are very much equipped to do so.
Okay. Yes, I think that would be good enough for me. And thank you, and all the best to the management for the future.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hasmukh Gala from Finvest Advisors. Please go ahead.
Lalpuria. Congratulations for great set of numbers.
Thank you.
So just two clarifications I wanted. One is this export incentive. Now, can you just give the breakup for import incentives now? Like MIS is not there. How much is RODTEP rate that is fixed for us?
No, ROSCTL was at 8.2% and
Okay.
that was at 2.6%.
Correct.
Also is continuing.
But both are things are continuing.
On ROSCTL, impact is around 5.5% to 6% depending upon the product mix which we ship.
Okay. So because the average which works out, it differed in Q1 and if you take the Q4. Now I just wanted to understand this 49.99 crore is only the ROSCTL part which we had not approved in Q4, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because other incentives we must have approved.
Yes, please.
The drawback we must have taken credit in last time.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the second thing is this CapEx program which we are undergoing, when do you think it will be commissioned? The 108 million capacity?
See, by Q4 FY22.
Oh, this year only?
Yeah, this year only. It's under process.
Okay. So next year we will have a total benefit of 108 million.
Correct.
Okay. So in FY23, what kind of number you will be looking at? Like you have guided for 85-90. Because what will happen if again you grow at say about 12%, again you will be reaching the cap. So then what is going to be your next capacity expansion plan?
See, as I had mentioned, we as a company are growing at a 15% CAGR, which we have seen through our past results and current performance.
Correct.
So we expect with all these opportunities coming up, we will have a healthy growth going forward.
Correct. Yeah,
and we are quite equipped as a company to invest also into expansions. And as I had mentioned, this is a brownfield expansion which we are doing. We are always open and discussing about the greenfield too. So as and when there is a need, the company is quite equipped and the board will take appropriate decision at appropriate time to go for it.
Okay. So do you think that time can come in FY23 or 24?
Yes, of course. We are in discussion, as I had mentioned earlier also, that in FY23 and 24, come up with this further expansion plans.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir, you just clarified that the retail sales is just 1% of the total sales right now, right? In one of the questions earlier.
Sorry, come again, Rana sir.
Yeah. Retail sales in India. Yeah, it is 1% of sales right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, which you expect it to go to 3%.
Correct.
Okay.
Increase number.
Yeah, with increase now sales figure. Correct. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Praveen Sahai from Edelweiss Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question. And first of all, many congratulations for good set of numbers, sir. So my question, sir, is as China is losing because of a certain reason, and we are gaining out of that. So how we are seeing the other countries like Vietnam, Philippines, Bangladesh, how they are positioned themselves to gain out of that? Is that a really competition to us, or we are quite comfortable on gaining on all these issues?
So first of all, as I had mentioned earlier, Vietnam and Bangladesh are basically labor arbitrage, and they are strong into the apparel side of the business, where they import raw material from other countries and they have a cut and sew operations where they meet the demand of the brands and the retailers. So basically, it's a cut and sew operation which they mainly cater to. They are building, of course, on their supply chain as well by putting on large textile park. And definitely, they are moving up, in their textile exports. Fortunately for us, we as a company are into bed linen, which requires finer count of yarn, and India has a unique strength in producing finer count of yarn, which we do not find, in the supply chain of these countries. Also, you see, Bangladesh and Vietnam, they do not have raw material, so they do not pose a threat to us going forward, because they import mostly their raw material from textile producing countries like China, India, Pakistan, etc. So I think as far as market gain is concerned, yes, of course they will gain on the apparel side of the business, but home textiles, they are not currently major players. Secondly, as far as competition is concerned, since they do not have raw material, they are importing from outside, and they are working mainly on labor arbitrage, and India has got a distinct advantage in all this segment. I think India stands out, in competition to these countries. So I think India do have a very big advantageous situation and position going forward as compared to Bangladesh and Vietnam. But just it has to play its cards right. It has to strengthen its supply chain, product quality, branding, distribution, and that too competitively. And which I think the government has also recognized the anomalies which exist on the duty side, on the tariff side, on the higher infrastructural inefficiencies and the logistic side, which they are addressing. And whatever inefficiencies are there, I think can get addressed through PLI schemes extending to our sector as well as the integrated textile part, which will create further competitiveness on the Indian textile product. So I think we are in a good, strong position as compared to these countries, and we should do well.
Great, sir. Sir, lastly, on your realization numbers, so definitely, as you had said, that's the product mix changing, and that's somewhere giving the realization improvement. So how much you expect that the fashion bedding and the utility bedding in the coming future to contribute to your number?
So it has improved marginally, this business on the higher numbers. Definitely what we had earlier informed you about 15%. So I think we should look at the overall year, and we are investing into this business, both on the front end and the back end. And we see with the China Plus One strategy, this category of products will definitely have good advantage for us to promote in the larger market. And we will see value addition onto them, which will help us to achieve our sustainable margin, which I have indicated around 18 to 20%.
Right. So that's all factoring like our contribution from the fashion utility is going to up, and considering all effect, you are saying that 18 to 20% is quite comfortable to achieve on in the future.
Yeah. So we are working on various margin drivers, fashion utility one among them, then the B2C, then the domestic side, then the health, hygiene, wellness side. So all these areas we are putting on greater emphasis and efforts to see that how we can increase our value margin, going forward as a company. And we are quite hopeful to do so because we are well positioned with all the major retailers across the world.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking my question, and all the best for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
We remain confident that the next level of growth in Indocount will be sustainable, brand accretive, and margin positive. We would constantly focus on increasing our penetration through B2C and B2C foray. With this, I would like to thank everyone for joining the call. I hope we have been able to address all your queries. For any further information, kindly get in touch with me or Strategic Growth Advisors, our investor relation advisor. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Indocount Industries, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.